the Upfront Toronto podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Upfront Toronto, conversations with people that move the city forward. I'm really happy to talk today, with Liza.
Hello, everyone.
And Zoey Shamai. Zoey Shamai from Tonica Kombucha, a wildly successful kombucha company, Canadian company, located in Toronto. They opened, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I have the numbers 2006. 2012, Zoey was on Dragon Dens and got an offer, which didn't happen. And from there on, today they're existing in 2,500 retailers. They deal with charity, with Because I Am a Girl, and all in all, she sells to a couple stores that my family happen to own. So we're really excited about it. And I honestly have your goji berry tonica every time I go to Parallel, every time, unless I have beer, and then I don't have that. So welcome, Zoey. Did I miss anything? Anything to add?
Thank you, Alan. No, I was just going to say Mill Street has you covered because they actually put our kombucha into their newest radler. So if you ever want a beer in kombucha.
So I actually looked at your Instagram page today, and I saw the suggestions of mixing it with and making cocktails out of it. And oddly, my friends and I started doing that. So awesome. Very, very good idea.
Your brother, I think, does that because I believe Parallel had our cocktails on the menu pre-COVID.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
great to
Zoey,
be here. Thank you so much for having me.
It's amazing you said yes. You started in 2006. You were a yoga instructor, as far as I know, and then you discovered kombucha. Can you kind of tell us about how did you get from kombucha or from yoga to kombucha making?
Sure. So yeah, that's correct. I was traveling and living down in New Mexico, and I was at a yoga community there. And it was very odd that everybody there was fermenting this strange looking tea in jars. And so, they told me it's great for digestion. I tried it, loved it. I was already a vegetarian and had quite a healthy lifestyle being a yogi. But it was incredible. I felt like I could eat anything if I was going to drink kombucha. So I ended up moving back to Toronto, my home. I was just studying down there. And I got it on the menu at Live, a restaurant where I was working at that time, a raw food restaurant. And I started to sell it to students at yoga students. And from there, it pretty much just has grown organically. I was, I'm a downtown Toronto resident, so I didn't have a car. I would literally brew it in my apartment, bottle it, and put it on my back of my bicycle and take it store to store. And it's grown from there. Now, I had a big advantage, which was that my mother was an entrepreneur. She had the first hemp food company in Canada. So I had a lot of help in the early days putting this all together.
So you started making kombucha and then packaging and selling it to stores. Kombucha is a live thing. I know bread, we deal with yeast, and we talked to Blood Brothers, and they make beer, and they started making it in their kitchen also. How did you do that? Like keeping consistency and like precision and bottling it. Were there any issues with that at the beginning?
Yeah, for sure. I would say over the years, one of my favorite taglines is like, it's all natural. So every batch is different. Especially when you're fermenting something and it involves the, air pressure and temperature, and each culture, I won't go too deep into it unless you want to know, but the Scoby, which is the culture that ferments the tea, it's a symbiotic colony of yeast and bacteria. So every single time you ferment kombucha, that composition of yeast and bacteria slightly changes. Mm-hmm. So you always get a different result, but it's a healthy yeast. So it's fission. It fights the bad yeast that people don't want in their diet or their body. And the healthy bacteria good for the liver, good for the gut. And then those living enzymes are what are so good for digestion. So I would say at the beginning, we had a lot of leeway because people had such incredible results from drinking it. They felt so good after, they were energized, their digestion was good. So even though sometimes it would be more bubbly and less bubbly, sweeter, more tart, we did say, and still to this day a little bit, when people ask, it's a raw, natural food.
Mm-hmm.
We're not pasteurizing or killing anything here. This is not a cookie cutting operation. So when you want something raw and natural, there's going to be a little variation.
Yeah, we have that when we make flatbreads, where we don't have perfectly rounded flatbreads because we make it in fairly different, not it's automated, but not super. So I fully understand it. I think our clientele almost expect it not to be perfect.
Yeah, I love your like breakfast one, and it always is a little bit, the texture gives it something, like that difference in the look of it, I think.
Yeah, I think they feel authenticity of some sort. So when jumping from making from your kitchen, do you remember when was the first time, when did you commit to opening the business? What was there a moment that you signed a paper that you couldn't retract from?
Yeah. So what happened was in 2008, so 2 years after I started brewing and selling, I wanted to go to India. And I thought, you know what? If I come back and I have tons of orders, then I'm going to do this thing for real. And if I come back and there's no demand, maybe it's not meant to be. And so I went, and my boyfriend at the time was very sweet, and he managed everything, and he would call me on Skype and say, you're getting all these orders, you got to get back over here. But I didn't. I took about 2.5 months because I was in India, I wanted to take my time. And when I came back is when I then, even at that time, I really just moved into a slightly larger apartment and dedicated the second room to be a brew room. And it took a little while before I got my first real facility. But I did have this very different model of really ground up every case I sold. I would put that into buying more ingredients. So I didn't ever take on partners or a big venture capital, it was a very slow, natural growth.
I know I didn't know you're around for so long. For me, it was for a certain moment. I was aware of you, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years. And when I researched you, I was, wow, she's around from 2006, which is very impressive. We, again, with our business, we were also lucky not to have any investors, because every time we wanted an investor, it took forever to negotiate. And by the time we ended negotiating, we didn't need them anymore. And it was okay, never mind. And like, I'm thankful every time we thought we had to have them. And then it was okay, never mind about that.
Totally. Because I didn't ever go to business school and didn't actually finish university, really, for me, there was no plan. It was always like, oh, this is cool. I can just brew this and listen to my music instead of like going out in the cold winter to teach yoga classes. So it actually took a while before I really decided even that I needed to grow. And at that point, I did go on to Dragon's Den, which was great. But like you're saying, we made the deal on the air. By the time we were ready, we signed some legal papers. I realized what I was looking for, they really couldn't offer, because I didn't want the money. I wanted help understanding production. I didn't ever co-pack because nobody would co-pack kombucha.
So you always made your own kombucha?
Oh, yeah.
That's it. Okay. Yeah. That's amazing. So you control your manufacturing and quality.
Yeah. But that speaks to the beautiful thing about kombucha, which is that, it's been a folk remedy that people have made in their homes for centuries. They say since 221 BC, that's the folklore. It's very easy to make. It's not easy to scale. That's what I learned over the years. But it's very easy to make because of the pH. There's no real threat of contamination. So there were a lot of things helping this journey along. And like you said, kombucha wasn't really big until 2014, 2015. So I had all this time to just slowly get comfortable building the business, a few stores, then 20, then 100, and then we were just in such a good place by the time kombucha became a thing. People already knew my brand. They knew me. So I've been very lucky.
Was Dragon's Den a tipping point in terms of recognition?
I think that it helped. So they did 2 episodes. They did a follow-up in 2016. But the 2012 episode, I think so. I think it was basically an awareness campaign. The pitch I put together was really like, I didn't know if I was going to get a deal. So I thought, well, at the very least, Canadians across the country are going to learn why they want to pay $4 for a bottle of this weird looking stuff called kombucha. And I think it was successful in that. And as well, bigger retailers started to answer my emails, call me back. So it definitely opened some doors for sure.
And what do you think was the reason kombucha suddenly was on the market? How did it get there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think now we're sort of seeing the fruits of what was happening, 7-10 years ago, which is that natural foods started to no longer be a niche. People started to realize, aging baby boomers, that their diet was integral to their health. So no more were people just looking to pills to medicate in operations. They were realizing, hey, what I'm eating has a direct impact on my vitality. And I don't want to age, so I'm going to eat better. And I think that brought kombucha, along with a lot of the other health trends, more into the mainstream from where they had always been quite niche.
Right. Because gut health is, that's just regular lingo now.
Huge, right?
Yeah. It's not this weird, what do they mean? And everybody knows gut health and it's how important it is. Everything starts in the gut. Like there's just so much more awareness now.
Totally.
But I just feel like kombucha just sort of exploded on the market and you started seeing it everywhere. But you were ahead of the curve.
I think it was the combination of just people's awareness about eating healthier foods, but then kombucha is this incredible thing because of its fermented flavor. And then most of us now carbonate, we control carbonate. So it does taste like a soda. Right. It replaces that old sugar-filled soda that people would have in the afternoon for energy. Instead, they're drinking this, they're getting that same kind of kick from the carbonation, but now they're having something else which resonates with the palate. And you see this in little kids when you give them kombucha, like the eyes light up because they're not really getting this fermented food anywhere else in their diet, not on a daily basis.
Yes, yes.
But the gut loves it, right? That healthy bacteria, the enzymes, it's so important for our health.
Yeah, it definitely goes easy in and feels that way. So how do you feel about competition? So you I think were the first in Canada to make it. I know there are a few manufacturers around Canada. Everybody seems to be successful. Like, how do you look at your competition?
Oh, well, first of all, I think it's wonderful that everyone looks successful because this is good for our whole market, that kombucha is a real beverage. It's a functional beverage. People look for it. So Rise is they're out of Montreal and they are the biggest brand in Canada. And when they started, it was probably literally, if I'm going to be honest, like a month after I started, but they were in Quebec. I was in Ontario and I started as the Fairies Tonic and there is a caricature of me on the bottle and they started as Crudescence and they had a chain of raw food restaurants. Oh. And then in the same year, I think it was 2011, 2012, we both rebranded. I became Tonica, then they became Rise. And now it's beautiful. I'm a founding member of the KBI, Kombucha Brewers International Association. So pre-COVID, we would have already been down. We have in Santa Monica every year a big conference where all the brewers from around the world, all the kombucha brewers come together. So as an offshoot of that, we have KBI Canada. So monthly we meet and talk about issues around labeling, legislation, all types of things. And I think it's great. I feel very lucky because there's so much competition now. And Tonica we're the second largest Canadian brand. So we're in a very good position. But yeah, I don't know if that answers the question. I feel
That
like
answers, it does definitely. I always looked at competition. I was always very scared of them, but when the pie grows and grows, it's almost seems at times exponential until it stops. And then you just need to look at kind of different ways to grow. And I don't know if you're there yet or not, but do you still see growth or?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons, being on the market for so long, certainly we didn't have to still be number 2 in Canada, but at Tonica, we're constantly innovating. So I don't know if you saw on our Instagram, but we just launched these new cans.
Yes.
Yeah. So this was a big risk for us. It's a low sugar can. So it's gone down to 2 grams now. Kombucha is already low sugar, but this is a huge trend. So I thought we got to get in on that. So we've done, it's recycled aluminum, super green, easy to transport, the cans. But even before this, we just did, I have my broker was like, talk about these 2 flavors. But, we look at the trends, right? So COVID hit, immune system. So this was the blue lemonade, which has E3 Live, which is a spirulina.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's one of our top flavors. And then the pineapple was a big trend for 2021. So we did a pineapple lemonade flavor. So for me, the fun thing is flavors. I feel like that's one of my talents, is putting together flavors in a way that people are going to enjoy it, because that's the thing, is kombucha in its pure form. It's very, very strong. I love it. I actually drink it every day.
Really?
But
still, eh?
most people, they don't want that. They want to have something that's enjoyable, but still have the benefits of great digestion from a raw kombucha. So that's the Tonica formula.
Could you tell us, from your business, what was your biggest challenge in looking back in the past 10 years or longer?
Sure. I know that off by heart.
Don't we all?
Big surprise. Yeah, the biggest challenge was in 2013. I had just been on Dragon's Den. We had gotten tons of listings out west, and I moved us into a new facility in the stockyards. And unfortunately, that facility wasn't up to great. Like it was, the landlord said, was a lot of complications. It ended up being that it wasn't ready for a food facility. So a lot of things on their part. I didn't do my due diligence. It was a great price. We had a lot of conversations where we spoke about the water quality and the pipes, because it was an older building. But at any rate, moved in there, and it was just a disaster, from random things like pipes in the ceiling opening up and black sludge just like pouring over our office.
Oh my God.
While we're all there.
Did you think everything was ending soon? Like, what went through your mind?
Yeah. I mean, it just got to the point where I had to decide, either I'm going to make this work and the business continues, or I'm going to do my best and know that I tried my best, but the business is done. And so I was very lucky in that a lot of the retailers waited for us.
Amazing.
So I had to
That's
stop
awesome.
producing for about, 6 months. Yeah. And this was right when kombucha was getting big.
I don't think it's, I think it's, it's almost like being a like analogy from sports, is the person standing on the sidelines kind of coaching, and you have it's out of your hands, and I would die of a heart attack, I think.
It was insane. It was a very, very hard time, but I had a lot of really good lessons, because we had been growing at that point. So to just have the pause button being pushed, and needing to, I'm trying to put it in its stand, my iPad one, there we go.
That's okay.
It just gave some really good perspective about all of the interworkings, and how important it was, relationships down to the landlord. Like, I had a sketchy feeling about these guys, and I went forward, and in the end, oh my gosh, what I learned about them, about business, everything, it was very, very helpful. So then coming back in 2014 in the spring, we've been going strong since then.
Did you hire someone that takes care of production and while you do other things that like marketing and development?
Yeah. So I have a fantastic team. We have an incredible production manager, a great operations manager, great accounting. Like really over the years, it's been about picking people that A, have the skill, but B, they could also be just really good energy. And I see that they're open to learning. Some positions like production manager, no, they have to have the background, but that's why we have such a good team. We don't have a lot of turnover. It's been years and years of the same crew of about 12 people. And, we continue to expand. COVID hit, we had to make changes, but I think we've got an incredible team.
So you mentioned your mother before and that she was in the Hemp, Ruth's Hemp, I believe. And you also mentioned somewhere else about your grandmother being an inspiration. How can you describe your inspiration from them? What did you get from them?
Sure. So, my mother, growing up with my mother, going to all of the trade shows every, month or so, traveling, listening at dinner, always to what was going on in the industry with her business. I think that just allowed me to feel very comfortable with getting into the industry. So I could have an introduction, but there was like this deeper level of just feeling at ease with the distributors and with the trade shows and retailers. And my mother was always innovating. She sold her company since, but at that time she had so many products. She was the first one to do a chia cereal, Chia Goodness. I would say she's the real entrepreneur. I just had like one idea. I'm like, I'm going to do kombucha.
And it worked.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Whereas my grandmother, who's technically my great aunt, so technically my grandmother she was an entrepreneur. She was the first female real estate agent in Toronto.
Wow.
But she passed before I was born. So her sister, my great aunt, took on the role as my grandmother. And she passed last fall at 92. She would still go into her office. I mean, this woman was just a powerhouse, unbelievable. And she taught me so much about business. So whereas my mom has this entrepreneurial innovation spirit, my grandmother is very grounded, rooted, and just would give me such great advice until the end, about managing the business.
I think that you mentioned your family, you grew into this amazing family of amazing women. I grew into also a very supportive family, and we're so lucky for that. And that's why it's important to me to kind of try and volunteer and work with youth that don't have this background, that because I think for us, even we started from, we were not very wealthy at all when we started, but I had this sense that I could achieve things because of this support. And getting other people to have that sense that they can achieve things is almost a huge part of it, right? Because if you don't think you can achieve it, there's no way for you to get there. And you have these two examples of women which you grew into, like that sounds, it's outstanding.
Such an incredible foundation. And I think even this morning I was on a panel and we were talking to York University students who are launching products. And just, again, opening up that accessibility to them to ask questions, because like you're saying, so many people don't have these resources. They wouldn't know where to start, but maybe they're born an entrepreneur and they have an idea. So I'm always open to, like the panel this morning, speaking to groups and sharing information. We were even thinking of starting to do a live on our Tonica Instagram where people can ask questions. But I also try to mentor females, especially when they don't have resources, whether it's a financial or just a mentorship with advice and giving back. So many people mentored me.
Yeah, I love on your packaging to see your little, it's kind of figure of it, and you see your name there. And female owned, I think it says. I don't know. I really connect with that, and I dig that.
Oh, nice.
So
that's nice to hear a man say, because it's always a risk, right? When you're saying It says women owned since 2006. And so
Yeah,
I
but
hope men are supportive.
yeah, well, some are, so and I think you don't, you can't please everyone, and if as long as you hit a core that are your supporters, that's the most important thing. I don't think it would turn anyone off, but I don't know. So when you mentor people, what do you tell them? How do you inspire them? What's the main piece of advice you would tell them that would help them in their career?
Well, I think when people come to me and ask for advice, generally I ask them to be very concise, to email me with particular questions they have. I think we put up on the Zoey Tonica Instagram, we used to put up sort of different pieces of entrepreneurial advice that either we've gotten a lot of questions about, or I just am in the mood that day and something's happening. I'm like, everybody needs to know this. But gosh, well, I think relationships is number one. If you're building a business on your own, at some point you're going to need a larger team. And as you do that, not everyone's going to fit, and that's okay. But for me, it's always been, if I have wonderful humans that have come into my sphere and I love what they're doing with the work and I like their energy, I want to make sure that they are compensated well, not just monetarily, but that they know how happy I am to have their support. And likewise, if there are people on the team who aren't pulling their weight, or I don't like the vibe they're bringing, I get rid of them. I have no problem getting rid of the bad eggs, because I feel that it really can take down the whole team very quickly if you keep people like that around. So,
and do you find you can figure that out pretty quickly?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because there will be certain things, like I'm sure you know from your business, where there's measurables. You need certain things done and you see how they're doing them. But beyond that, I find the team that we have loves the team and they want to keep it good. And if it's not, they're going to talk to me.
At the beginning, I wasn't good in hiring people because I always try and see the good in people, and I ignore some signs. I mean, with experience, that kind of you sharpen that end, and the hire slow, fire fast kind of message.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and for me also, what we really like to have a kind of an informal feeling, and at the bakery. If we went out drinking, and having fun together sometimes, and you need to pick the people that you're able to drink with and have a really good time, but we all know the line, and then we're mature enough to know, yes, we're here friends, and really Liza and we became friends through the business, and we can tell each other almost anything these days. I mean, we don't work together now, but a friendship emerged out of it, and I think Liza is a fantastic example of, I think, Liza, right? We had wild nights in food shows, yet we always knew the line. And well, maybe you may disagree, but
no, we understood the boundaries. You understand, when you're out for a night, you're out for a night. But then when you're in the office, you're in the office. Yeah. When you show up at the booth the next day, there's a business and pleasure side, and to understand those, and that makes it work. That makes it work. So
Zoe, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, but if you want to continue with the thought, because I wanted to ask something about the yoga. So
I was going to say, though, that I do think it's difficult being sort of an open, empathetic person who does see the best in people always, because you do. I think it's a challenge, but it's like a life challenge and a work challenge, and so many of them reflect each other. And at the end of the day, is it a business, or is it social welfare, or is it a friend thing?
100%,
so I think that you kind of go through making the mistakes of doing the ones that don't work, and then you realize, especially being a solo business owner, it all comes down onto me at the end. So I have to make better decisions if the ones that I was making didn't work out in that way.
And how much of that is guided by intuition?
I I mean, I think most things are guided by intuition, really, by that gut instinct, but also the ability to assess results. You know, so if you're seeing something, it's like that old saying from Oprah, you know, and somebody shows you who they are, listen.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I think just the wisdom comes with the years of hiring many staff, interviewing many staff. There have been bad hires that I thought 100% this person's going to be incredible. I was so wrong, you know. And likewise, there are others where I thought, oh, this is a good fit. And then that person ends up excelling and becoming huge in the company.
Right.
So I think it's both your gut instinct and then just being a keen observer and being honest about what you see when you're seeing results.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you're a sole proprietor, or not sole proprietor, but you're a sole owner. That's kudos to you. We have family, my brothers in different businesses, and we are all, and we do. It does help having each other. You know that when shit hits the fan, we go and talk and huddle, and okay, what's the plan? Doing it alone is I take my hat off to your success. Definitely.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you have the systems you set up to deal with that. And you, like you said, you have to surround yourself with good people, because if you don't, it will bring you down, and you know, you will pay the price at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you see like, where do you see Tonica in 5 years? Are you going to grow into the US? What are your plans? I see you're making new products. Anything else?
Yeah, so we've just brought on a new partner to, for me, the thing is, like, the US, yes, it's always enticing, it's always there. But I actually, because of the team that we have, when people talk about US, for me, I see it, that's more work for me. I would rather make sure that we are everywhere. We saturate Canada. So right now, our goals are on that. Obviously, COVID has really thrown some big wrenches into the wheels. Yeah. But right now, we just launched the cans. And so the mission is to expand those out. It's a whole new category. Really, it doesn't have to be in the kombucha category. It's low sugar. It's a soda. There are so many different coolers and facings listings we can get into. So I'll say that for now, it's just to continue to be one of the, you know, most authentic kombuchas on the market and be everywhere in Canada.
Wonderful. I find for us, the Canadian market, but we're in different markets, obviously, seemed that there was a little, there wasn't balance. I mean, there are some very big players in the market, and then too much of our share was in the hands of too few. And that's kind of what pushed us to move south of the border. Not necessarily because we wanted to, but when most of your eggs are in a certain place, you know, you don't want to risk falling if you know, they wake up on the wrong side of the bed, to say the least.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the reason. So yeah, it's either that or growing further into different categories, like you said, and you're not only kombucha, but other areas. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and we also do private label. So right now, I do all the private label. If you go into a Farm Boy, all of those flavors I've developed. And like I was saying with the Mill Street, or we're actually working with a wonderful company, Level Up. Sorry, it's going to be in the OCS stores. So it'll be the first kombucha cannabis drink available.
Oh, wow.
So for me, there's so many things we can do without needing to build up whole new systems. So that's my model, is keep it simple, but do it well.
Logical. Yeah. And going to different countries, there are a whole host of new problems also.
I bet.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Oh,
this is for the pita break?
Yes, for the bakery. I'd say 50% of our sales are in the US. So for a bunch of years now. Yeah. And it kind of saved us a few times, but obviously they were like, the COVID was a challenge, a big challenge for us. But now it's climbing up, so it's good.
Yeah. Very good. So you're in Toronto. Yeah. How has that been for you? How has been building a business in Toronto been with you in terms of working with the city and creating your business in the city?
I mean, I've never built a business anywhere else, so I can't really compare it. But but Toronto's great. It's my home. I feel very comfortable here. I've lived in a few different areas, and mainly around, Bathurst and Bloor, down to Kensington Market, over to Bloor and Lansdowne. Now I'm out in High Park. I grew up around St. Clair and Bathurst. So the city, I feel like, has been a wonderful place to make partners like Alan and Aaron and Guy, where they're also building things from the ground up and want to work with other local people who have great products. And it's not some intangible concept of some brand, it's actually a nice product that people want to carry and promote. And I think, again, knowing the people, being able to walk in after years of seeing them and shopping in their stores or eating in their restaurants, that really helps. So, definitely creating a product in your backyard, great idea.
Absolutely. And what is your favorite neighborhood? Because you're obviously a city girl by heart.
Gosh, I don't know if I can say. My East End friends would kill me. I'm really enjoying right now. This is the first time I've lived out this far. So now I'm in the Junction, High Park Junction area. Okay. And, it's beautiful. There's the park, and then there's lots of cool, like around the corner, there's Indie Ale House and an incredible Venga pizza. Like, I just find there's so much craft around here, whether it's in beer or food. Of course, Parallel, which I love. I always get the Parallel salad and the Arias. I do a lot of the takeout. Yes.
Right.
I used to live in the West End also, Zoe. I really am fond of the Junction and the Triangle and a lot of other names that people don't know. And they're great areas. Now I'm in the East in Regent Park.
Okay, great.
And who's your favorite competitor, Zoe?
Favorite?
This is the question most people love. Like, who do you think does a really good job?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or like one of yours, doesn't have to be the top one necessarily.
Right. Well, I mean, a good job in terms of flavor, I think Tonica is the best.
Yeah.
Branding, I love our new branding. I think I don't know, honestly. I mean, GT's started the whole category, and I would say they're still a large competitor of ours, but I would give him huge props for spreading kombucha and opening people's eyes and retail fridges to kombucha. Is
the kombucha market still growing, do you think?
What's happened now, like you were saying a little bit earlier, is there's a certain influx of competition when something gets hot. And I think we kind of reached that around the time 2018, 2019 was sort of like full saturation. Everywhere you look, there's a new kombucha brand and a lot of local players, because like I said, it's very easy to get in at a small level of producing small volumes. Then what has happened is I think retailers have started to see, you can only list so many brands. You're just basically cannibalizing your own category. Why not pick the top 3 national brands and take 2 local brands and push those? And so I think I know that's been happening, and we've been really fortunate to have such a loyal customer base that we have remained and continue to grow each year over year. Our growth has been incredible, and I think that unfortunately right now we're going to see some big changes, I'm sure in your market too, with all the supply chain issues, especially with glass and metal. There are a lot of issues, and I know with our smaller competition where basically manufacturers of glass are just saying we're not doing that mold anymore.
We had a box manufacturer tell us, and this was not one of our main suppliers, but buying substantial amounts for them, and their guys we can't sell to you now. And it was like, and that's it, and there's nothing you can do. This is, I think these are very unique times for supply chain, like you said, and also cost of ingredients. Wheat has gone up I don't know, 25%.
Right.
All other ingredients are going up and down. It could be weather, it could be all kinds of for all kinds of reasons, but there definitely isn't stability, and it's definitely affecting, I think, right, the bigger ones or medium-sized companies that have been around for a while have developed those relationships to be able to get over this time.
Right, exactly. But and even so, you know, we're suddenly having to source. So, okay, well, we can get 700,000 from, you know, bring it in from Turkey or here, and it's a shortage. And we have partners that are working with us, so we're very lucky in that way. But other companies, they have no support. Suddenly, they're just being told your glass is, you know, 5 times more, and we're not going to make it after 2 months. I think it's scary. We're going to see a lot of changes right now. With the distributors, with the retailers, everyone is finally acknowledging, you know what, there's huge price increases coming because the manufacturers cannot swallow it all. We always want to please our retailers, but there's a line, and that line comes down to margins. So I think there's going to be a big shift.
It's already happening. I don't know if you're on one of, I don't remember the name, but on Facebook, there's a restaurateur page. Everyone's on it. And everybody's complaining now about price increases. I can send it to you later. It's really interesting to see because it's kind of having the finger on the pulse as to labor. There is no labor.
There's no labor.
So hard. And now add to that is ingredients and cost. So hopefully this is a hump that we just get over very soon. I'm hoping October, but once the elections are done, and we'll see.
Right.
But all you can do is ride it out, right?
Yeah. I mean, for us, we have never had, so like I said, we have our core team, but then of course we hire on more as we grow, especially with the can launch. And I have never seen it so hard to hire people. And we're not paying minimum wage, you know, if it's starting at 18, 20 an hour, but I guess with Serb, it's just, my production manager is just like pulling his hair out.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what happens once Serb is done. I don't have a clear answer yet. I have lots of questions.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to think that people would rather not go to work. I don't know, because I'm a worker, right? I want to be doing something and active, and
you want to be contributing. You want to be part of, a contributor to society.
And also, you know, if you're living in Toronto, I go like, how are you possibly supporting yourself just on that and able to pay your rent and your bills?
Right. And sustain yourself. And people have families. I mean, I have a big question mark as well. I just don't understand it. But I don't know. I don't know either. I guess we'll find out.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. What the next little while has in store for us. So I wanted to ask one final question.
Sure.
Just because I'm cognizant of time, is what charity is close to your heart? You've mentioned a couple kind of in talking, but I just want to give them a fair spotlight.
Oh, sure. Okay. Well, I think I try to juggle it around. So this year, at the beginning of the year, we made a really large contribution to one that, let's go. So what it does is it distributes donations based on what they feel are the top charities in the world. And they assess them based on their, the amount of donation that you give that actually goes through to the different causes.
Right.
And also then it's assessed on what they believe will have the most impact on the most people. Mm-hmm. So simple things like nets to decrease malaria. I'm trying to remember now what this charity is called.
Is it the Toronto Foundation by any chance?
No, okay. It's actually this one. So we do give to Food Share in Ontario. But no, this is a US. So the Sam Harris podcast recommends. It's called Goodwell or Make Good. I think it's Goodwell.
I'll get in touch with you after the show. I'll get it from you because we'll put it in the show notes. Yeah.
We can re-record this part if you want, but it's but that I really liked everything I read about that. So we made a substantial one there at the beginning of the year, and then throughout the year it's to different causes. So I do try to support a lot of female entrepreneurs, especially if they're in sort of a different they don't have to be in beverage. But, if they
For
are,
sure.
yeah, they can be anywhere in Toronto. And then I have a couple of small businesses that I donate to personally, directly to. But yeah, there are so many. I don't know if there's just one that I want to say is the main one, because really they're all so good.
Yeah, no, you got to spread the wealth.
Spread the wealth. Also, this year we did a lot of mental health. I'm trying to remember the name of that organization as well. But whether it's product donation or doing a percentage of sales, I like to give just in order to touch on, people who need help having regular groceries, or maybe they need more therapy, or, entrepreneurs. So it's just sprinkle a little bit here, a little bit there.
Zoey, we really thank you for your time and your wisdom and knowledge. Amazing that you're on with us. And is there anything you want to share with your customers or with our listeners? We have the new products.
So much, Alan. Yeah, we have the new low sugar cans. I would say, thank you so much for your support. If you've been a Tonica Kombucha customer and drinker and lover all these years, really, really so
I can say that
company.
Tonica goes really well with hummus, just so you know.
Oh, yes, perfect combo. And with the new low sugar cans, they are made with stevia, but again, as with the rest of the Tonica line, there's no stevia aftertaste. So we've made a delicious low sugar formula.
Amazing. We'll try that.
Thank you. Oh, and there's an exciting thing. When is this podcast going to air? Do we know?
Maybe 4 weeks from now, 3 or 4 weeks from now.
Okay, so that will be into September.
Early September, yeah.
Oh, good. Well, then I can announce that we've just been launched into Walmart, which is really exciting. So now Walmart Canada. Across Canada. Yeah.
Amazing.
I was so excited to have you in Vancouver. I was in Vancouver 2 weeks ago, and I think I was in the Whole Foods.
Yeah.
There. Yeah. It was I know them. And
oh, that's great. Great. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Amazing.
And where can people find you, Zoey?
Wonderful.
Where can people find you on social?
So on social, of course, Tonica Kombucha. And off of that, it says founded by Zoey Tonica. And then if you click on that, it's the Zoey Tonica. We do stories, a lot of behind the scenes of the canning line or staff, or just fun things like I'll post about this.
Yeah, no, I love watching your videos and just the different things that you guys do on there. Your Instagram page is refreshing. Like I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, it's so refreshing. Like I just feel so light and clean and airy.
Oh, that's lovely. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Great.
Just
so
like
good luck. Thank you for, sorry?
Just like the drink.
Just like the drink.
Yeah.
So good to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, ladies.
So much. This was a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Take care.
The Upfront Toronto podcast.